Hello, my name's Ben Greenaway from BMedical. Today I'll be talking about the Pegaso assisted cough devices and interpulmonary percussive ventilation, or IPV. They may also be referred to as MIE. On the left-hand side we have the Pegaso Plus, which is generally the home device. In terms of operation, these two are identical. The home device is 3.5 kilos and has a 3-hour battery. The hospital device is white and it's called the Pegaso ACOF Perk. The Pegaso devices are used to help clear mucus from patients' lungs. The patients who tend to benefit from the Pegaso are high spinal patients, neuromuscular patients, patients with motor neurons or SMA, etc. Both devices have two main modes. We have the IPV or percussion mode, which is used to move mucus from the periphery or the edge of the lungs. Once the mucus is in the last 5 or 6 branches of the lungs, we can use the assisted cough to push a large breath in and then suck a large breath out to give the patient an assisted cough to help clear mucus out of the final 5 or 6 branches of the lungs. Both devices have a rocker switch either on the back or the side to switch them on. When we switch the devices on, if we press the menu button within the first 1 or 2 seconds, we get to access a menu where we can lock the different modes, we can set the time, we can change the language. So in this case, I've got all modalities open. If I switch it off, I can lock it to just cough assist, I can lock the percussion mode, or I can lock all modes, but we'll leave it open for today. If I then use the menu button to go through, I can change the language, I can change the date and the time, and I just keep pressing the menu button to move through it. And the last one is to allow mode change, which allows us to switch easily between the IPV and the assisted cough mode. The first mode we come to is the percussor section. Generally, if a patient has peripheral airway clearance issues or mucus in the edge of the chest, this is used to move the mucus to the larger airways where they can cough it out. Within the percussor mode, we set pressure, we set frequency, and we set an inspired to expired ratio. So in this example, we've got 30 centimeters of water pressure for the pressure. We have a frequency of 180 beats a minute, so that's 3 times a second to keep the maths easy. And then we have the inspired to expired ratio of that pulse wave, which in this case is 2 to 1. This means it's going into the patient's chest twice as slowly as it's coming out. So for each pulse wave, the air goes in slower and then comes out faster, which seems to get behind the mucus and move it from the edge of the lungs to the larger airways. To adjust the settings within the percussion mode, we would press the menu button. We have the option to change modes, but I'll come to that in a minute. We press it again, it allows us to choose which cough assist mode we're going to. We press it again to go to pressure, and then I can take the pressure, for example, down to 25 centimeters of water. We press it again to frequency, and again to adjust the IE ratio. Most people start somewhere between 1.6 and 1.8 to 1. In this example, I'm using 2 to 1 because each of these pulses that are going into the chest 3 times a second are going in twice as slowly as they're coming out. So to change to the other modes, we would press the up or the down arrow. In this case, we've gone to the auto sync mode. Auto sync means it will synchronize the patient effort with the inspiratory cycle of the device. So in this case, we have 25 centimeters of inspiratory pressure, 30 of expiratory pressure. Once the patient triggers a breath, they will get that inspiratory breath for 1.9 seconds. It will immediately cycle to an expiratory cycle, in this case of 2.7. That could be considered quite long. And then we have a pause of at least 0.4 of a second. That pause is very important. If we don't have it, the patient might take a breath or air would go into the chest, triggering the device ahead of when they actually want to take a breath. From auto sync, if we press the down arrow, we get to easy start. I'm first going to explain the automatic mode. So in automatic, the patient can't trigger the breath. They get the inspiratory pressure and the expiratory pressure for the inspiratory time, the expiratory time, and the pause that you've chosen. The patient can't make any effort with that mode. If we change it back up to easy start is the same as that automatic mode, except the patient triggers the first breath as they do with auto sync, and the trigger sensitivity then is used to help them if they've got less respiratory effort. From easy start, if we press the menu button, we can now go down to the last mode, which is manual mode. In manual mode, we set the inspiratory and the expiratory pressures. We set the rise time of the peak, and then the inspiratory and the expiratory breath is either controlled by the I button, the E button, or using this rocker switch. And once running, it'll display the inspiratory, expiratory time and the pause time on the screen. One of the very cool things about the Pegaso device is that in the manual mode, if you titrate the device by observing the patient using the inspiratory and the expiratory manual adjustment, at the end of the session, when you switch the device off, you can press the up button to store those settings that you've manually titrated into the other modes. Now we come to talk about the circuit with the Pegaso. It's very important to use a bacterial filter to protect the device from the patient and vice versa. So the bacterial filter generally we put next to the machine. We then have 1.8 meters of tubing. We then have the valve that is open for percussion and closed for cough assist, and that just has a simple turn mechanism. You'll either feel the airflow or you'll be able to see it quite easily to see when it's open or closed. If we have any concern about the patient for, say, COVID or contaminating the room, we may use another bacterial filter between the patient and the exhalation valve, and then we would choose the interface. So we can use a nasal mask, a full face mask. Generally, we tend to use these type of anesthetic masks that may also be connected to a tracheostomy via an ET tube. With the circuit, we would generally change the filter weekly. The tubing, the exhalation port and the mask will get changed monthly, and the tube, the exhalation port and the mask should be washed after every use. What sets the BMedical Pegaso apart from any other device in the market is the ability to offer two modes in one. It not only has the cough assist function or assisted cough MIE, it also has the IPV function. What makes it even more unique is the ability to set the inverse IE ratio in the percussion mode. We're able to set from 5:1 to 1:5. Most people use the percussion mode between 1.6:1 and 2.5:1, so the air is going in slower into the chest on each pulse wave than it's coming out. The Pegaso device is available to rent or purchase. Rentals are to enable patients to trial and see if the device is effective for them, and we can rent for up to 2 months. The device has a 1-year warranty, and all the servicing is done in Australia, and the device should be serviced every 2 years. So please contact your BMedical rep for information on renting or buying the Pegaso.